Hi and welcome to ID Cyber Sessions. My name's Megan and I'm the Admin and Marketing Team Leader here at ID Cyber Solutions. Today we're celebrating a major milestone, 10 years of ID Cyber Solutions in business. Over the past decade, the company has grown into a leading name in the cybersecurity industry, specialising in Cyber Essentials and Cyber Essentials Plus certifications and delivering world-class training courses as an AC Council delivery partner. Joining us today are Ian Kerr, the Managing Director, and Cary Hendricks, the Global Operations Director for ID Cyber Solutions. We're going to be looking back at the journey so far, exploring how the cybersecurity landscape has evolved and hearing their vision for the future. So we're going to talk about the journey so far, what inspired the creation of ID Cyber Solution 10 years ago, and what were some of the biggest challenges faced in the early days of the business, Ian?
Wow, 10 years. It's flown past, and one of the reasons for that is we've had a great time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the start, just as you said, like any business, there are many challenges, one of which, obviously the most important part, is the people. We're very fortunate to have a fantastic team. Cary and I first met through Cary acted as a consultant to my brand protection business, and we got on very well and really liked the way each other's views concurred. And Cary approached me and said, how do you fancy starting a cyber security business? And we both agreed, let's do it. A couple of very important things that we discussed before we started was a very strong feeling of giving something back. Mm-hmm. And that is, I would say, it's helped with the development of the company as well. But we have many initiatives, and we have a major one at Cal Uni, where we sponsor the third year student, mm-hmm. a top student, and we liaise with the universities and various other bodies in the help, particularly the development of young people. Mm. So, challenges, yes, there are a number of challenges. There's the finance itself, establishing that business. The strategy Cary and I talked about and decided upon was quality and, most of all, the people. And customer care, of course. So, yeah, it was challenging, but even at that stage, we're still having fun and enjoying it.
Absolutely.
Do you agree, Cary?
Yeah, absolutely. It has been a long journey, and at the same time, a very short journey, because we've got a long way to go still.
Sure.
But the changes over the last 10 years has been rather spectacular in terms of how IT and security has changed within the United Kingdom itself, mm-hmm. and how business operate and so on.
And so looking back, what are you most proud of achieving in the past decade? I know you touched on a few good points there, Ian, but what really stands out for you?
Yeah, further developing that. Personally, in terms of dealing with IT specialists, it's a whole different ballgame in terms of how you deal mm-hmm. with the way people think. And I would say, Cary and I have discussed it many times, it's a culture. Mm-hmm. The mm-hmm. culture through the room there is just, it's superb.
Yeah, it is.
And yeah, as you know,
I can vouch for it, but yeah, it is. It's very much a culture and a community.
Well, that doesn't just happen. You know, you've really got to work on it mm-hmm. and care about your people and care about the output and how they feel within the workplace. Mm-hmm. And that, in turn, translate into how customer care happens. Mm-hmm. Again, it's about emotions and feelings. And Cary and I, as I said, many times I've talked about how proud we are of the culture in there.
Yeah, and like I said, you can vouch, you can feel the passion in the room.
Yeah,
in the room that
yeah, very much, very much.
This is more of a question for you, Cary. How has the cybersecurity landscape changed over the past 10 years?
Well, it's changed quite a bit. So especially 10 years ago, when we're looking at our context, the cyber essentials didn't really exist at that point.
Oh,
Right. So, so the entire landscape was consumed mostly with some penetration testing, which only happened like once a year, and it was seen as this mystic little thing that people should do, but
no one really knew.
no one really knew, and nobody
Yeah.
really wanted to do it because it was incredibly expensive to do that. So from that point, cyber, anything in cyber was incredibly expensive. People were incredibly expensive to do something like this as well. When Cyber Essentials came along, it broke down a lot of things that should be done in-house to make organizations safer. And as that expanded, it kind of made the whole thing a whole lot cheaper to achieve for organizations. Now, as Ian has mentioned, it's now a culture within the organization. It's a thing that the company does as part of its business. It's not this one annual audit. It's now a way of working.
A way of thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it expands beyond that in terms of now we're thinking about how we interact with business partners in terms of I'm in a supply chain.
Yes.
How do we think? How do we view other people? How do we view whether it's safe to do business with another organization? And of course, now because of that focus, it's shifted the thing to say, hey, this is a business focused thing now rather than a security focused thing in the beginning. So, and it's going to change a lot still, but for the better.
Good news.
Yes.
And in your view, how has the awareness and the adoption of Cyber Essentials and Cyber Essentials Plus evolved since their introduction?
Well, it's changed tremendously. In the beginning, it was really hard to try and get people to buy in because when it first started off, as I mentioned earlier on, is that cybersecurity was very expensive. So when you needed a consultant to come talk to your organization about cybersecurity, it was going to cost several £1,000s to do that, to get the person in. With the advent of Cyber Essentials and Cyber Essentials Plus, it now became a whole lot cheaper. And
affordable and achievable.
Affordable and achievable. And many organizations at the beginning thought, if this is so cheap, it can't be good. Right? Because if you really want something, it's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, the awareness was very slow on the uptake. And suddenly, once it started gaining critical mass and organizations found that says, hey, hang on a minute, here's a list of things that we can do to make our organization safe for not a lot of money. It describes, at the initial point, it described a series of hacks that had occurred and how you can protect yourself against them. So free advice, things you can do, and now it's kind of like, yeah, this is the basics that you need to do. And it still doesn't cost a lot of money to actually do it.
Yeah. And it's providing that advice and that information so that organizations are learning from it and able to adopt that into their culture.
And the fun thing is, though, I suppose fun thing, if you want to call it fun thing, that 10 years ago, with the introduction of Cyber Essentials, it cost £300.
And how much does it cost today?
Still £300. So over 10 years, it hasn't gone on this curve where it increases and, every year becoming more and more expensive, because the whole point of this is it needs to be affordable. It needs to be accessible for everybody that are doing cybersecurity within the organization. It doesn't need to be too expensive, we're not doing it.
Yeah, and that's enabled the scheme to be more effective. Perhaps,
and consistent. All the way through.
So I'll open this up to both of you. So why do you believe Cyber Essentials remains such a critical baseline for businesses today?
Oh, well, talking as a non-techie, I think even people who are not technically minded, they can see how fundamental it is. You know, you don't need a real in-depth understanding to realise the various segments and how they apply to protect a business.
For the technical side is having to have a known standard or a known set of components that need to be in place to make the organization safer. Because if you don't have that initial sort of baseline, as you mentioned, you don't know what am I doing too much? You can never do too much, or if I'm doing enough to secure my organization. And Cyber Essentials definitely falls into the section, I need to do enough, and this is the level of enough to get started level.
It's fantastic having both technical and non-technical views. It gives us an all-round perspective. And can either of you share examples of how Cyber Essentials and Cyber Essentials Plus have helped organisations strengthen their resilience?
Well, from a technical perspective, we've seen a lot of public body type businesses or organizations rather than a business. They are budget constrained. They have a lot of legacy systems and so on. And they needed a way to have those systems sort of brought into a level of security that would be for the country or the public sector, as such. So, and typically those ones were usually excluded from the normal cybersecurity scenarios. So, in that sense, it helped raise the view of Cyber Essentials within the public sector part. So it needed to say, okay, this is what we need to do, and that has worked tremendously well. And we've seen organizations just every year leaps and bounds improving their services because they've been chipping away at it for years now. And every year when there's new requirements coming in, they'll just engage straight away with those requirements to get them implemented, working through, and so on. And more for the smaller startups, they kind of now have the opportunity to get it right from the beginning. They don't have legacy systems and so on. And a lot of the smaller startups are really spin-outs from university or other organizations, or a need for a service to start up. And they too have the bright idea and say, we want to do this, but they always have to remember part of that needs to be protecting what you've got and the cybersecurity part of that, in what they are doing. Ian, do you have?
Yeah, I think what we have to remember is, why do people do Cyber Essentials? It's about protection, albeit fundamental, and basic protection. But what are we protecting? We're protecting the assets.
Yes.
So why are we running a business? It's to make a profit, and you need to protect that profit. There's nothing worse when you've built up that profit and you get hit with a ransomware attack, and it just goes out the window. And as we've seen in many cases, a company can go under. So that's the way that companies have got to think about it. This is protection of the hard-earned money within that company.
And the great thing about the Cyber Essentials scheme is there is no typical organisation size. This ranges from, small to micro SMEs, right up to large organisations, and the controls are fundamental, regardless of the size of the organisation.
Yeah.
Just to touch upon the training, as an AC Council delivery partner, Cary, what advice would you give to individuals starting their career in cybersecurity today?
Well, I've been asked this question a load. The main thing is about cybersecurity is that it is an extremely wide area of expertise, influence, skills, and everything else. So, and it's no longer I want to fix PCs or I want to be a hacker. There's loads of individual parts that you need to fulfill first, because part of all of that is the knowledge part. How do things work and so on. So in terms of knowing how do things work, get involved in terms of working in IT for a while, understanding how everything works, and then starting your progress through to specific things that you would like to do. So some folks want to migrate directly into compliance. So they want to be able to conduct an audit based on certain criteria to make the organization safe. And if they can do that, that's great. Some individuals may find, right, I would like to be more into the forensic side or the incident handling side, making sure that if something happened, we are prepared how to deal with various things. Some parts of the IT training or cyber training, as such, all now involves AI. So whereas 2 years ago or so, AI in cybersecurity, it was a mention in a product. Now, because that mention in a product, AI is actually embedded in a whole lot. How do we know as a person, it doesn't matter whether you've been in it from day one to a new start in this, how do we embrace AI within our environments? Fortunately, we do provide short courses for things like this, how to deal with AI, how to leverage the power of AI when you're doing, for example, an audit, or how to use that within digital forensics and incident handling, so on. But it all can be either be a big jump or in small increments as you go through. My advice is don't rush. There's lots to learn, lots to view, lots to experience in this. You may not realize what your end goal may be, because that is going to change many times.
Yes.
And so you may find something that you really want to do, and then you find, no, it's not what I thought it was going to be. But I found this extra bit, and I'm really focusing on that extra bit. And we've even seen that many times with our own staff as well, where they've had focused very much on IT and then suddenly migrated and say, hang on a minute, I want to go for the assurance part, or I feel really good at writing documents. Now, I don't like writing documents. But I like to tinker with stuff, and others like to tinker with stuff as well. And it doesn't matter whether it's a new tool, a new way of doing things, a new audit process, or anything else. All of this will build up, and you will find your niche in the thing that you want to do, because it's not the same for everybody.
No, that I'd agree. Everyone's niche or what they're interested in is different, and that's the great thing about having the culture and the community as well, because you have people to rely on for advice and guidance. Yeah.
It now takes a team.
It now takes a team.
Yeah.
So looking ahead, where do you see ID Cyber Solutions in the next 10 years?
Wow.
The next decade?
It's really exciting. There's so much happening just now. And in terms of, well, comes immediately to mind space. What an industry. And we should be very proud of where Scotland is in leading that industry. And that's part of our strategy going forward in terms of space, to be very much involved in that. And you've got the Space Network, which we are founding members of. And a rather unfortunate way for a new line to develop is where we are in the world today in terms of threats. And we will be involved in the defence in terms of cyber defence. And again, Scotland have been awarded these major contracts. And all companies need to ensure the protection of that. And that protection level will be increased significantly due to state threats. So, very exciting, great room for development, and continue to grow that team and embrace the culture. And as I said at the very start, in terms of one of Cary and I's firm beliefs, and that is giving back.
Yeah.
It's so important. As you progress, embrace it. Pull so many people along with you. I mean, as you know, one of our models is the trusted partner development. And not to be seen by other companies as a threat, but to embrace it, to go forward together and tackle what we have ahead. It will be very challenging, but I think very rewarding as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I can just add to what Ian had just said there about the paying back part, because over the last 10 years we've consistently worked with partners, we've worked with individuals and other organizations to even make our competitors better at what they do. And if we can make our competitors better at what they do, it's a win. Yeah. It's a win for everybody.
Yeah, it's overall strengthening the defence system.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. If you could give one piece of advice to business leaders about cybersecurity as we move into the next decade, what would that be? Probably from a non-technical and a technical perspective would be good.
Wow. As we've seen and still see, many businesses are not taking it seriously.
No.
Even with all the attacks we've seen recently, I think so many people think, oh, they're going for the big guys. How do they get to the big guys? Through supply chains. So that's probably one of the major pieces of advice I'd give as a non-techie. Look at your supply chain and how that can affect your business, and take cyber security seriously.
Would you agree, Cary?
Yes, absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And from a technical perspective as well, is make sure you start rolling in cybersecurity in your processes, no matter how you are trying to do business and so on, because there is going to come a point when you need to protect your environment, you need to protect your company, you need to protect the supply chain, you need to protect the contracts that you are actually working in. And this is unfortunately not one of those things you can retrofit. It's really, really hard to retrofit a security solution in a really established ecosystem, because there's so many changes that need to be made. So
implement from the start.
Implement from the start, or implement as soon as you possibly can. You don't have to go absolute big bang, but you absolutely have to make the point of that you need to start introducing the processes, the just the mechanisms for making everything secure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And ultimately protecting your assets and protecting your business.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah. So what has leading a cybersecurity firm taught you both personally over the last decades?
Wow.
Got good questions.
Yes, well, I touched on it earlier. Every business has different types of culture, etc.
Yeah.
And for me, the initial good few years was understanding how technical people think and working with them and adapting
I understand that.
as a person to how you can translate and communicate what the goals are and how they can be achieved.
Personal reflections for me. I come from an environment where I was responsible for absolutely everything. And because the field is so wide now, I realized that you can't be the team, right?
Yeah.
You need to embrace that other people in your team will have different skills, will have different ways of doing, and sometimes the feedback that you'll get from the team on how to do something better, how to do something different, maybe stumble on a brand new way of doing things. Give them the freedom of coming to you and say, we propose this, or we have an idea about doing something like this. And it takes the I out of team, and it builds that resilience part around it. Now, it's hard to kind of release the reins of it. I was going to say grip, but that sounded too hard. But the reins is definitely the better word. But it's to release the reins and give others, the rest of the team, the freedom to explore, to expand, to come up with ideas, and just collaborate and contribute. And we've had some fantastic contributions from the teams. They're not just doing things, but also innovation and so on. So, I think that is in terms of what I feel in terms of the technical part is really vital.
That's fun. Yeah, that's a fantastic reflection. So, Ian, what keeps you motivated to keep pushing forward in this sector?
I think a very, very important thing for everyone is that have fun, enjoyment. When you stop enjoying something, then you need to reflect. And I'm having a great time and enjoying it and seeing people develop, as with the other company as well. When you see people grow, and alluding to what Cary said there, of giving that responsibility away, and again, I know I'm going on about it, but giving back and feeling, that sense of achievement and sharing it with people, that's, for me, huge.
Humbling. Yeah.
That's it.
And for you, Cary?
Well, the things that keep me motivated is the constant innovation, the constant, I suppose, change that is taking place within the cybersecurity sector, but also how we can tie that down into a system where we keep track of all of the vulnerabilities, all of the things that we need to do with all the new innovations and so on. Because we have to keep up with the times. And, and it's exciting. It's exciting where all this is going because things are changing. And just as virtually every decade since the 1980s, right, every decade has had major changes in terms of how things were going to go forward. And we're at this constant thing now where change is happening much faster now than everything. But in terms of exciting, absolutely. It's like all having new toys. It's almost Christmas every day.
Fantastic.
Thank you for asking about my shirt.
Do you want me to ask about your shirt on camera? So Cary has a retro shirt on today. It's a very retro shirt. So Cary, can you tell me what year this shirt is from?
Well,
is this the very beginning?
Yeah, this is one of our very first ID Cyber shirts that we have.
It's very different to,
it's very
my
different
shirt.
to your current outfit, but it kind of reflects the way that we've gone. We've gone through the first part of starting to creating an identity, and now building on that identity going forward. So I'm very proud of my very first edition shirt.
Your retro.
Yes,
retro
it may be a few years old, a lot of years old, but I'm very proud of it.
You wear it well.
Yes.
Thank you both for sharing your insights and reflections. It's clear that the past 10 years have been a remarkable journey for ID Cyber Solutions, from supporting businesses with certification to delivering globally recognised training through EC Council. What really stands out is not just the growth of the company, but the impact you've had in helping organisations and individuals strengthen their defences in an increasingly complex digital world. As ID Cyber Solutions looks ahead to the next decade, one thing is certain: cybersecurity will only grow in importance, and the work you're doing will remain essential to keep businesses and professionals prepared. So congratulations once again on 10 years in business, and here's to the next 10 years and beyond.
Absolutely.
Let's go for it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ready, steady, go.
And thanks for joining us, guys.